Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Scamfish presented by SocialCatfish.com. On today's episode, we speak to a man named Bob. Bob is currently living in Florida and fell in love with a woman online who claimed her name was Laverne Knapp. Laverne claimed she knew a lot about Bitcoin investments, so Bob sent her over $50,000 in hopes to see his money grow. But he is now having doubts about Laverne being who she claims to be after receiving two strange wire transfers on his bank account. Real quick, guys, we work really hard on these videos and we could really use your help. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your comment and like could help stop someone from being scammed. Thanks, everyone. Now let's jump into it.
Last September, my wife of 43 years decided to leave, which left me high and dry, hanging here with everything, a house, 4 cats, and all the bills and everything that had to be taken care of. I live on Social Security, so I had to sell my home. I had to move into an apartment where my monthly rent would be based on my income. Trying to find somebody to share my life with who would not judge me and would allow me to be myself instead of what they wanted me to be. So I signed on to Match. I was approached by this lady. The name that she's using is Laverne Knapp. We entered into this communicating relationship and shared a lot of very intimate things. And, I was sending her videos of me and we talked a lot about how we felt, and she sent me emails expressing her love and concern for me and that she wanted to have a long-term relationship. She told me that she was over there in South Africa working on a deal that she traded in gold and precious metals and antiques, and that she was there to close this deal. I believe I sent you a copy of the certificate, a copy of the check, and the DCE international paperwork that she forwarded to me. Anyway, I started to really get concerned about things because the check was for $1.3 million. There was hint, and I called the bank that the check was written from in Kentucky. Because it was a cashier's check, I thought they could just tell me some information as to whether or not the check was valid. And they did tell me that the check was not valid. But she kept on asking me for money. And then she had money transferred into my checking account, 2 wire transfers from this Bronstein Properties via Capital One to the tune of $230,000. She told me that we were going to disperse that money through checks written to people in various places, I guess, for payments for this cryptocurrency. 3 weeks ago, I got a phone call from my bank, Wells Fargo, telling me that Bronstein Properties Capital One is recalling the wire transfers that deposited into my checking account. Well, that money wasn't there. That money had already been dispersed to various individuals in California and in Florida and in Virginia. I didn't know what the heck that was all about. So what money was in my checking account, they took and dispersed that money back to Capital One and left me now with no checking account at all, because Wells Fargo told me that we no longer want to do business with you. I was a customer of that bank for over 10 years. As far as the property company is concerned, I really do not know anything about them. And I wouldn't not known anything about them other than the fact that when the wire transfer was made into my account, I could see their name in my transaction listing on my account. That's the only reason I knew the name of the company or where it even came from. She claimed that she didn't have any money to keep her phone going. She needed money for food. She needed $2,500 here, or $1,000 there, or $1,500 here. And then all of a sudden, it just turned into if I can say these words, a shit show. What money I had in my checking account, what money I had in my 401k, even to the point where she needed money so badly that I went and put the title up for my truck to get a loan to help her. It's close to $50,000 in the total of it all. And now because I lost my job a couple of years ago, nobody's going to hire me with my disabilities as they are, because I can't stand for very long. I did my own research here. I did a video or a image upload on your website, and I was able to find out that the image that she's been using, all the pictures that she's been sending me have been from this Katya Goldstein out of Key Biscayne, Florida. The funny thing about that was that I found Katya on Instagram and on Twitter, and I followed her on Instagram and asked her just a very simple question. Did she know Laverne Knapp? I never got a response, and the next thing I knew, all of the stuff that was on Katya's site was gone. No pictures, no details, even on her Twitter account. So I don't know if this gal's leading a double life. I don't know. I don't know what's really the truth here. My big question to her is why? Why did you do that to me? I don't understand. I could have, and I still don't even know for sure if I'm not going to get charged by the authorities over this whole mess. I really hate the fact that you did this to me. That's really what I want to say to her. Why? Why did you do that? What I'd like to see happen in regards to this whole thing is that she can't do this to somebody else. And I don't know how many other people she has done it to already, on top of what she did to me. I'm just probably one of many at this point, and that's sad. People have to take advantage of other people's hard work and efforts to live comfortably in their older years, to have somebody just come in and take that all away. I appreciate the fact that social catfishing is putting my story out there. I appreciate any and all help that they can give me. I still want to try to get my money back. That's possible.
After receiving this video from Bob, we knew it was time to get to work. We reached out to Brunstein's Properties since it was the company that was on Bob's bank statement for the 2 wire transfers. We had a few people call them over a couple of day period to ask if they knew about the transfer, but nobody called us back. We still don't know why the money was wired or if it was truly them who transferred it, and we may never know. We decided to look into the woman in the photos. We ran a reverse image search on our site, socialcatfish.com, and found out that Bob was right. The woman in the photos is Katia. We reached out to her on Instagram, but never got a response. It was time to meet with Bob for the first time. David wanted to give him some advice.
So you had provided information about like the people you had sent money to.
Get the email that I sent this morning with the address for Elzena Juarez.
Yes, we called her and we spoke to her. Yes.
That's an interesting conversation. What did she have to say for herself?
Seemed like she knew that something was going on, but it was, was kind of keeping her cards close to her, or maybe, potentially she didn't know what was going on. So sometimes what happens is these scammers, they'll talk to you and then they'll talk to somebody else as a male, right? And they'll say, hey, my cousin or my brother's going to send you money, and once you get the money, if you can help me out. Very similar to maybe what happened to you, right, with those wire transfers.
What's the deal? What's the deal with Laverne and Katya?
Okay, so like they won't talk to us. Sometimes this happens where these people, their images are used all the time, right? So we've reached out multiple times and we've looked online. We're fairly confident that these people have no clue what's going on, and unfortunately they're victims and they're having their images stolen, especially with how everything's being put together. Most people are not dumb enough to live in the United States, give you their real information, and then start stealing money from you, especially the way things have gone down, right? So we're fairly, very highly confident that these people have nothing to do with this, especially since the person told you they lived in they were in South Africa, right? So typically what happens, what we see, if somebody says that they're in South Africa, they're typically, somebody that's in South Africa, because if something pops, whether it's an IP tracker or some sort of story where they need to say they're overseas, that's their story. And most people don't say they're in South Africa if they're in Florida, right?
Yeah, and like I was telling Lenny and Drew, I'm still in communication with her, if it is really a her.
Yeah.
And she's kind of made promises about returning money to me by the end of the month.
It's not. Look, I've been doing this for a long time.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen.
So we reached out to Braunston Properties, right? And we said, look, we're helping somebody out. They got a large deposit. When we looked at the deposit, it had Braunston Properties LLC on it. What is this about? And they never got back to us. So we reached out to them yesterday. We asked them what was happening. They said they would look into it and give us a call, and they never did. We called them again this morning and was told that somebody, the right person to call us back wasn't available, and that they would call us back. So, I mean, I'm sure, I have no doubt, like if this was my business and somebody came to me and said that, I would probably be consulting lawyers and, looking into it and asking questions. So we don't know exactly what happened, but here's my recommendation to you right now. Like, go to the police, file a police report, and be honest, and call a lawyer, by the way, too. These are consequences, if there are any, right, that you'll have to deal with. But my recommendation to you is, look, if you think there's anything that potentially legal that went on, obviously there's a lot of weird things that happened. We don't know the full story. And even after digging in, we've hit a lot of roadblocks, right? We don't have an IP address of the real person. We're very confident, though, that Katya is not involved at all.
I really would love to meet her.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
I'd love to share this story with her.
Yeah.
Just so she knows, because, man, I'll tell you, I have 5 months of my life invested in this person, and my wife left me a year ago and that just put me into the most vulnerable state I've ever been in my life, and now here all of this is just blown up in my face.
Yeah.
And then the money that was deposited into your account, that's a large amount of money. I don't know if you ever had any money of that size deposited in your account, but I mean, were you not asking questions?
Almost 100,000 at one shot, yeah. She was very vague, and now I can't even go back into the texts because that's how we communicated. I can't even go back because all that information is gone.
When she told you to go send money to people, what was going through your mind at that time?
I just thought that's what she needed to have done in order. I thought really what that money was for was payments for the Bitcoin stuff and the gold that she was investing in, payments for that to these people. That's
Gotcha.
what I thought it was.
The tough part is with every video we do, there's closure. And this is just that one time where there's not a lot of closure because there's a lot of questions to
be.
Yeah. There are too many people not getting back to us. And that's why we're recommending that you go to the police and that you go contact a lawyer. What these scammers, they feed off of the emotional leverage, and then they often put pressure. And so there are a lot of different signs, of romance scams, right? But the big thing, especially with when money's involved, they put pressure hey, go get this gift card for me, or go deposit money into this account, or help me do this, or buy this phone and send it to me. And there's always a lot of pressure. And every time we talk to somebody in this situation, your similar situation, they felt uncomfortable, they asked questions, they didn't get the right answers, but then they because of the pressure, they continue to go through with it. And so, the biggest advice here, and it doesn't necessarily help you out now, but is if somebody's making you feel uncomfortable in any relationship, just say no, put your foot down.
Thanks for watching another episode of Scamfish presented by SocialCatfish.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.
Scams come in so many different forms. If you have been a victim of any of the scams below, please email us at sharemystory@socialcatfish.com. We'll get to the bottom of it with help from our Social Catfish team. By sharing your story with our YouTube audience, we can educate, spread awareness, and maybe someday we can put an end to these scams.